So in preparation for our meeting this evening, just as an overview, either the majority of you or most of you have made contact with the administrator and have visited the school. We do have a few of you who obviously have not been able to do that as of yet for various reasons, and that is absolutely acceptable. We understand that completely. What we are going to be focusing on this evening is the conversation revolving around the upcoming interview that you will have with your mentor teachers at the school site. But before we talk about this evening, I'd like to open up our meeting with an opportunity for questions, and/or if you have any questions pertaining to process, please go ahead and don't hesitate to ask. I'd be more than happy to answer. So again, if anybody has any questions pertaining to where they are right now in terms of communication with their with their administrator of the school site for visits, or if you have any questions at all, just waiting for a few more of our peers to jump into the meeting. So please don't hesitate to ask.
Thanks, Tyler. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Is this Newt?
Yeah, it's Newt.
Hey, Newt, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
That is good. That's good. Please, Newt, go ahead. Do you have a question for us?
No. I just wanted to let you know someone's hearing you on the other side.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Newt. Absolutely. All right. Well, if you don't have any particular questions, and I know that we have, again, a few that are not in attendance this evening, and personally, I tried to log in using Internet Explorer. I ran into an error. I actually had to jump over to Firefox, and it seemed to be working correctly. So we might have a few who are not able to attend. There might be some technical difficulties on that side. Again, I'm recording the meeting. They certainly can engage in conversation afterwards. Don't hesitate to stop if you have any questions. Just go ahead and ask. And Dr. Countley and I are here this evening to answer those questions for you as it pertains to your interviews, the next steps, so to speak. Now, again, as I said, most of you, if not all, have gotten a chance to go visit the school site. A few of you, unfortunately, like your friend, your peer, Newt Brewer, is not yet assigned to a particular school. Newt is one of our candidates who will be exploring the middle level option for the year-long residency. And as such, we're still working with the Red Clay School District, so he's still in limbo, so to speak, but we're hoping to have that solidified in the next few days to weeks so that, Newt, you'll be able to go visit the, the school and so forth. But we'll be aligning very much like everybody else the interview process, and it really comes down to meeting and talking to the teachers and getting a feel for who they are, who you are, and making sure we all connect as a team for the next year. So essentially, before we jump into the interview process, I'd really like to just talk about two main categories when you actually we actually make the reservation, we set up the date, we set up the interviews, and you're going to move forward with actually meeting with the mentor teachers. And really, those two categories are going to be, and Dr. Countley, jump in at any time. The two categories really are your attire, your professional dress, and your dispositions, your demeanor, your communication styles, those types of things. And the categories really are just going to be, if you will, if we could put them into little buckets. One would be how you look that day and how you act and talk on that day. And Dr. Countley, I don't know if you would like to expand on those two buckets, but I think those, if we boil it down, are the two main areas that we focus on first. So when we're thinking about and we're looking at how you want to dress or how you want to look that day, it is very much professional in nature, professional attire. Gentlemen, you're going to want to wear a shirt, tie, dress pants. You're going to want you want to look the part, so to speak. Ladies, obviously, same with you. Very professional in nature, coming into the conversation and this meeting and this interview in a professional manner and looking the part. What we want to stay away from during this initial interview, jeans, t-shirts, flip-flops, sneakers, those types of things really should not be a part of, if you will, our look. You want to stay away from those things. For example, ladies, you want to be careful of not wearing too much jewelry. You're going to be cautious as to how much perfume you wear. Gentlemen, same thing. Cologne, not overkill. It really comes down to a matter of being professional and low-key in your appearance. Dr. Countley, would you like to add anything?
Yes, I would. I think the gentleman should wear tie, shirt and tie.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, I think should. It's actually you should dress according to business attire, and that's for the gentleman too. I really think that's the first impressions are lasting. So to me, business attire as opposed to just shirt and skirt, or I think you should be dressed appropriately in terms of business. You don't have to wear heels if you don't want, but you should be dressed business-wise, male and female.
Agreed. And Dr. Countley, in terms of not just our dress, but also like hair, like if we have and of course this is a very open conversation, folks. So please know it's all about first impressions with the mentor teachers. Would you say, Dr. Countley, if our female candidates have long hair, maybe putting it up, ponytail, bun, something of that nature?
Well, I don't think they have to put it up, but I think they should be careful how they're wearing it, and so that they don't play with it during the interview, which has happened in the past. And I also think if there are a lot of tattoos, you really should probably cover up your tattoos, because again,
yes.
this is a professional interview. And if you have sometimes you might have a different color hair that's out of the ordinary, like you might have purple. That's not appropriate for the interview.
Yes, we really are focusing here, everyone, on the first impression and the impression made by you on the mentor teachers, so that they are looking at you, one, as a professional, and two, though they're also looking at you and having that internal question, is this someone that I could connect with for the entire year? So you really are selling yourself. Would you not agree, Dr. Countley?
I would agree. And just another little piece of information: no chewing gum, please.
that is absolutely a good idea. Absolutely. So you talk about your attire, talk about your dress. It really does focus on the professional look. Dr. Countley and I and others during our student teaching seminars, we always talk about this this one phrase. It's called the mirror test, and you probably have heard me say this before. If you can look in the mirror and you bend over or you twist or you can see something that you shouldn't in the mirror, then you shouldn't be wearing it that day. So that's what we call the mirror test. So that really revolves around how you look. Now, how you act, how you talk and communicate, I think is the other bucket that I think we need to focus in on during your interviews. Within that bucket, so to speak, or within that category, you have a host of things that you want to focus in on. First being is your demeanor, how you're coming in, how you're greeting the mentor teachers. You should greet them with a smile, a handshake, a good morning, good afternoon, depending on when the interviews are going to be held, that type of thing. You want to be welcoming and pleasant. Dr. Countley?
Yes, welcoming and pleasant and friendly with a smile on your face. Don't feel intimidated by the interview process, though. We want you to be comfortable, but we also want you to be prepared. And if I can go on, just in terms of the first thing, you should be thinking about what you want to say. What's the message you want to communicate when you first sit down, when they ask you? The first question is probably going to be, tell us something about yourself. And so you should be thinking about what would you say when you're asked that question. It's not important that you like to read or that you're necessarily in sports. What would you say about yourself in terms of how you view children and how you view the opportunity that you're getting ready to embark upon? And I think that's the direction in which you should think about when they say, tell us something about yourself.
Agreed. Yeah, it really is how you're presenting yourself. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Countley?
Yes.
So within that approach, that first approach, you're coming in, you're smiling, you're friendly, you shake their hand, you obviously are being introduced. You're going to be introduced to the mentor teachers. The next part of the process here is, as we like to say, you want to feel comfortable, but you don't want to feel relaxed. And why I think we would agree is you want to make sure that when you're sitting there, you're attentive, you're interested, you're listening. We don't want to slouch back and think that everything is cool and okay. This is a time to be, sitting up straight, focusing on the mentor teacher's questions and listening and being intently listening. Within then, after the introductions and you're listening, you're getting ready to listen and prepared to answer those questions, it's how you speak is just as important as what you're saying. And I'm sure Dr. Cantley will also reiterate what I'm about to say. You may not, as she said, you may not be into football, you may not be into sports. It could be. It doesn't matter. It does matter what you're going to say, but it's how you say it is as equally as important as what you're saying. You might say, well, my interests are limited. I just like to watch movies. But that's okay. But how you say it, your approach, the way that you communicate is very important. Because, again, these are all just, this is the first impressions that we're making. Dr. Countley, would you agree to that?
Yes, I do agree with that. And eye contact is very important.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So, setting the stage here for you to come in, being introduced, welcoming, friendly, smiling, you look presentable, you look professional. That sets the stage for the interview process. Now, during the interview, it might be done in various ways, and so Dr. Countley has experienced it in the Red Clay School District. I've experienced it in North Dover. Everyone tends to conduct the interview in various ways or different ways. I'm going to go ahead and start with my experience, and Dr. Countley can share hers. And so I'll give you what has occurred for the past 2 times at North Dover in Capital School District. Basically, the team of teachers is there and present within a classroom, and each candidate is brought in one at a time to meet the team of teachers. The principal is typically there, and a representative from the university, such as myself or another, and the supervisor for Capital School District, who is Betty Wyatt Dix. Now, what occurs after introductions and so forth is candidates are provided the list of questions that might be asked by the mentor teachers, or depending on what the mentor teachers see or don't see, they might actually come up with different questions that are within the categories. And they will ask them one by one, meaning there are typically 4 or 5 mentor teachers at North Dover Elementary, and each one of the mentor teachers takes a turn at asking you, the candidate, a question. And you obviously respond accordingly. And it typically doesn't take more than about 20 to 25 minutes. It shouldn't take any longer than that. And the mentor teachers at the end obviously welcome you coming in, and you leave. And then, of course, the mentor teachers have an opportunity to quickly talk about the interview and you, the student, and your reactions and your communications. And remember here, they are paying attention to the questions. The questions are important, but they're also looking at how you react and how you communicate, remembering that they are looking at you as, can I connect with this individual for the entire year? So that's what North Dover did, and I know Dr. Countley, I believe they did it a little bit differently at Ritchie. Would you like to share your experiences?
We did have some individual conversation with interviews, and then at the end, you know, we had the entire panel there. We kind of deviated away from the questions, though, because the teachers had some different thoughts that they wanted to ask. So even though you might be prepared with some ideas as to what the questions might be, they might change a little bit, as Tyler had mentioned. And then the principal was there too, but the focus was on how you would fit with the particular individuals. That's actually what they're looking for. How best does your personality match the teacher's personality? And so after the interview, where they had just a brief, about 15 minutes of interview questions, we did then take them across to another room where they sat, and then the teachers and the building principal actually talked about where they felt the intern would best fit. And so for our young people, they actually got a chance to know where they were going to be assigned before they went home that day. But that doesn't necessarily happen in every site.
Yes, that's correct. Down at East Millsboro, the team likes to talk about all of the candidates after all the interviews are over, and they decide upon who will be with whom, and then they convey that information to myself, and we send that over to, of course, the candidates. So before we take a look at the questions and we go into some more detail as to the process, does anybody have any questions so far?
Tyler, yes, I do. It's Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. Please go ahead.
Just from when I went on my tour just a couple of days ago, the principal stated that we would find out where our fit was mid-summer. Just who we were assigned to. Is that true?
Who is the Lauren? Please, you'll have to forgive me. It's hard to remember everybody at the same time. Where was your interest area of the school?
At North Dover.
At North Dover. Okay, and that's very interesting. I'm going to have to check into that. That might be because, from what I remember or what I recall, the principal might be, depending on her interest level, she might be retiring, and there might be a new principal coming on board. Or, and I haven't gotten any confirmation as of yet, Lauren, but there might be some changes within the teacher structure at the school, meaning there might be some teachers leaving. If I will check into that for you. Typically, that's not the criteria that we use. Typically they, after the interview, about a couple of days after, North Dover usually makes up their mind. So it sounds like they might be going through some changes. So let me reach out to Suzette Maureen and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Absolutely. Please, anyone else have any questions so far? All right. As there seem to be no questions, what I'd like to do is share with you, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for you to see. And those of you who are just calling in, if anyone is just calling in, I will also be emailing this out to you so you can take a look at it. So essentially we've broken down, and this is where the mentor teachers have provided us input into the categories, first and foremost, what we call background or who you are questions. For example, as you can see, some of the questions into why did you become, or why do you want to be a teacher, or how would you describe yourself? As you can see, I don't need to read it to you in detail, but you can see that these are specific questions tailored around to who you are as an individual and a candidate. So when you respond to these questions, you want to be honest. Don't try to fake it here, okay? But at the same time, you want to take a look at these questions, and you do want to focus in on responses and think about responses that are connected to the profession. And I'm going to give a very good example. And please note, this is not meant to offend anyone, but it is realistic in nature. For example, the first question here, why did you decide to become a teacher? I will tell you, if your response is that you love children, is your only response, it will not go over very well with the mentor teachers. Even though that is at the heart, that we want to work with children and we like children, you need to expand that answer. Well, why is it that you love children? Well, I want to work with children, be able to change their view, their perspective. I want to assist and have them and help them grow academically, personally, emotionally. You want to make sure that your answers expand into those areas that relate to the profession. And remember, these are seasoned vets. These are individuals who are professionals. They know that you are not, but at the same time, they do want to hear what it is that you are as an educator. Dr. Countley, would you like to expand on that?
Yes, I think, as you said, it's not just because you love children, and it's not just because you want to change the world. You really want to put it into a perspective that fits all of that, so that you want to become a teacher because you realize that you have some skills that you can help benefit others. You know what I mean? You want to expand it more than I just love children and I want to change the world. You want to narrow it into some kind of conversation that is not a platitude.
Right. And here's another example, please. And again, we mean no offense, but these are critical components to the conversation. The last question, what do you like most about teaching? If your response is, I love the summers off, these mentor teachers are going to sit there inside and giggle a little bit at you, because they all understand that even though you get summers off, it's not the type of job that just stops at the end of the school year. So again, you really want you, as we send these to you, we want you to think about them. Be honest, but at the same time, think about your responses and think about the type of reaction that your response might give. The second area is what we would call teaching techniques or instructional questions. So again, as you read these, for example, how would you individualize instruction? Describe a teaching strategy. How would you motivate students? Anything that revolves around instruction or instructional strategies is fair game here. What they're looking at is your knowledge. What are you bringing to the classroom? They do understand and know that you are new, that you are a neophyte. However, they do want to have, though, a base of understanding for what your response might be. Again, being honest and being clear, at the same time thinking about your response and the reaction that it would cause. Dr. Countley.
I agree, but the one thing I want to say is don't panic looking at these questions, because these questions are actually the types of questions, too, that as you prepare to go into the world of teaching after you go beyond student teaching, that they might ask. So you're not necessarily expected to have the answers that a person who is teaching would have. So be comfortable with your answer. Mm-hmm. And not worry whether it totally fits into all of this, because these are some really comprehensive questions. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by it, but you should be prepared to have an overall viewpoint of what you think about education and what you are capable of doing and the types of strategies and activities that you know that you can implement. So you want to put all of the things that you know you can do and try to see where they fit into these questions, if that's making
Dr.
sense to
you.
you.
Do you agree that the majority of your experiences with, and this is the same for mine during the interview, is that the mentor teachers tend to go down that route of give us more of your experiences
exactly.
And what you've experienced so far versus just what you can tell us or just what you can respond to a question?
I agree, and they want to know what you expect to get from the experience. And I think that's an important piece that you need to be prepared to respond to. What do you expect to get from this experience?
And I agree. I think all the sites that we have interacted with and communicated with and are working with would ask that question. You know, and then many of them, that is one of the ending questions that they use is what do you see gaining out of this experience? So, and the last component that we have is the classroom management and organization. Again, as Dr. Countley said, don't expect it to, I mean, they may ask these questions, they may deviate and ask something of nature or similar in nature. Again, connected to my experience, the mentor teachers have said, well, in your practicum, can you give me an example of an environment that was challenging, or did you see a challenging environment in your practicum, and so forth, and you're sharing your experience. Dr. Countley, anything else you wanted to share as to those categories of questions?
Well, the other category where you mentioned the strengths and weaknesses, I think that's a good self-assessment that they need to be prepared to think about, because I think that's important. In order to be able to say what you expect to get from the experience, you have to be clear as to what the strengths and weaknesses you have now that you want to improve upon. So those two questions are very key to me. So I just wanted to point that out.
Agreed. So what will happen here to all of you is that I'll be emailing you this tonight, the set of questions. The questions, of course, these are commonplace questions that are provided, and the mentor teachers have used them for the past 2 years. They, and again, as Dr. Countley said, and I agree, you know, you're going to want to answer these questions to the best of your ability. If you know, and you may not be asked any of them. They may deviate and ask specific questions of their own, and that is a possibility. But Dr. Countley is right. You want to relax. You do want to enjoy this, and you don't want to get overwhelmed, but you do want to be prepared. Absolutely. Per the questions, Dr. Countley, is there anything else that you would share with your experiences so far at Ritchie?
Well, I just want to say to you that during the interview process, the teachers want to see you do well. So that's why you don't have to feel so intimidated by this whole process. It may sound overwhelming to you. You know, silence tells me that, you know, you may be feeling overwhelmed about all of this right now, but I just want to encourage you to be prepared and be relaxed. And to me, the important thing is to be able to introduce yourself well, to talk well, to communicate well, and to always end well. And stay away from those phrases like and waving your hands and doing those kinds of things that distract from your interview process. And
Agreed.
That's my advice.
Agreed. So before we get into the last part of our conversation this evening, in terms of time frame and date and scheduling, does anybody have any questions about any of the items that we're talking about, your process for an interview, any questions whatsoever?
Nope, sounds pretty good.
Thank you, Newt. Please don't be shy if you have questions. All questions are good questions. So essentially, and I'm sorry, Newt excluding you at this time, and I do apologize for that. But our time frame then for interviewing is the week of March 14th, between the week of March 14th and or the 21st. I'm in communication right now with our sites. So East Millsboro, Ritchie, North Dover, Cedar Lane Elementary School, working with those principals in determining which days are going to be best for the interview process. Now, I will say that Cedar Lane Elementary, our candidates who have possibly going to Cedar Lane Elementary, that team may desire some additional time frame because they are a new site, and they may want to postpone or push the interview process into April, which is absolutely their prerogative. However, I will say with certainty that East Millsboro, Ritchie, and North Dover are going to fall within that March 14th to March 21st time frame. The way that this works is very simple. You will receive an email from me sometime between the end of this week, by Monday the 7th, indicating the exact day and time. Hopefully we're going to get this to you sooner than later, so that you can obviously make arrangements with the family and so forth and other responsibilities. Please know that if you do have if it's in the afternoon, if it's not during the day, it's in the afternoon, and it does conflict with a course that you might be enrolled in, please know that this is an excusable absence from that course, and I will write a letter and communicate to your instructor indicating as such. So this does meet an excusable allowance within the time frame for your interview, if by chance it falls within a time frame that conflicts with an assigned, or an enrolled course. For Newt, such as yourself and others, as I indicated, we're working on that the site agreement. We're working on having a mentor come forward and working with you, Newt, for example, yourself. And when they do, the process will be very similar, Newt, but also different because it'll be one-on-one. So it would be more so a meeting of yourself, myself, the mentor teacher, the school principal. And so you would be meeting with that little team, if you will. But for the rest of us, for the larger population within our residency, you are going through the interview process as we described, and the time frame will be detailed. So expect an email from me in the very near future as to a date and time. And then in terms of your supervisor being present, obviously Dr. Countley will be present and working with those candidates at Ritchie Elementary, Betty Wyatt Dix at North Dover, Nancy Hawk at East Millsboro. For Cedar Lane Elementary, temporarily, you'll be working directly with me until we identify a supervisor for that particular site. And then our candidates such as Newt and Maggie Weaver, which I don't know if Maggie's with us. No, she is not. That's right. She couldn't make it. Maggie and Newt are at the middle and secondary level, and we'll have identified those individuals when the school sites are approved. So essentially, folks, that is the interview process in a nutshell. We don't want you to feel concerned. We want you to be aware of what you need to do, but you shouldn't. This should not scare you. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed, but this is extremely good practice. And I know Dr. Countley would reiterate the message saying that, and so would Mr. DeMedio if he was here this evening, that you are essentially going through a process that most candidates, if not none, get an opportunity. And what you're going to experience here is essential, and it grows. It's a professional growth opportunity. So without me going on forever and ever here, does anyone have any questions as to preparing, the interview, the questions, and timeline? Dr. Countley, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I think you've said it all.
That's a bit of a mouthful. So please, everyone, as you are expecting that email and timeline, if you have any specific questions per your site and per your any details regarding your residency site, do not hesitate to contact me directly.
I think I have maybe a silly question, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Lauren, not at all. There are no silly questions. Please.
Do you want us to wear our Wilmington University ID when we go into our interviews?
Oh, that is actually a very good question. Yes, the answer is yes. You definitely want to get into the habit of wearing your ID every single day. Absolutely. So this is a good time to start. That's a great question, Lauren. Great question.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Please, friends, are there any other? Maggie?
Yeah, I wanted to know, should we bring anything to the interview, like our resume? Or?
That's a very good question as well, and I have seen this done differently in different settings, and Dr. Countley, you can share as well. At what I've seen at East Millsboro and North Dover is a variety. Resumes are good as long as they're not too lengthy. If you want to bring some other additional information possibly to share, you could. It is not a critical element to the interview process. However, I would also say that you sharing your resume or maybe something of that nature is not going to hurt or detract from the interview process. Dr. Countley, what would you say?
Well, what we did in the past was we actually sent your resume to the school, so the teachers had it beforehand. And for those of you who submitted your resume early on back in November, I have those resumes, and we can forward them to the school so that the teachers can read about you before you show up. There are a few of you that I don't have your resume, so that we can't do that. So maybe we should have everybody, Tyler, submit a resume who hasn't, so that we can just forward those resumes to the school so the teachers can read them before the interviewees show up. What do you think?
We can certainly do that. We can certainly do that. And I can send out an email this evening in conjunction with the interview questions that you can respond back to me, everyone, and send me that information. I think anything that we can get to our mentor teachers in advance would be beneficial and provide them an opportunity to get to know you just a little bit better.
Yeah, and also the statement that they wrote when they submitted their interest, I think it's
Yes.
also something else that they can share so that the people get to know you before you get there.
Absolutely, yes. That is definitely shared. Absolutely. Very good question. And for those of you, for some reason, Allison had asked, do you need to sign in? If it's during the day interview, then yes, you'll want to sign in at the school office. If it's after school and school is out, then it's not necessary to sign in, but you will obviously introduce yourself to the school secretary and so forth.
Can I add something about the end of the school day? If, for example, your interview is at 3:45, the buses tend to pull out at about 3:30, so you may get caught behind buses. So you want to allot time for that, so you might want to get there a little early so that you don't get caught behind the buses, because then I know that might cause you some anxiety.
That's a very good point. And also, if by chance you have not been able to visit the school, which is understandable, then you do want to make sure that you arrive or at least get a feeling for where you're going, right? And as Dr. Countley says, arrive at a good time so that you're not being late. So do have a question. Thank you, Heather. And Heather, I'm not sure as to why the audio is not working. I did experience some issues as well, so thank you. Heather asked us, can you expand on telling about ourselves? Yes, I think Dr. Countley, both I can expand on that one. When we say talking about yourself or telling about yourself, it really does focus in on who you are as an individual. Some of the mentor teachers at North Dover and East Millsboro might even ask you, do you have any siblings? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a Delaware native? Have you spent the majority of your time in Delaware? Did you go through Delaware public schools? Are you not from Delaware? Where did you come from? Your experiences there. Those types of things. Some of that information is not out of bounds, meaning you absolutely should feel comfortable. But they ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. And, hey, I'm married. I have, 3 children. I live in Frederica. I'm a Delaware native, and, X, Y, and Z. You shouldn't shy away from selling yourself. And quite frankly, this is the opportunity to quote someone, is to toot your own horn. Not really loud, but toot your own horn. You want to, be proud of yourself, be proud of who you are, and so forth. However, you're providing enough information and you're providing enough details and make it interesting enough about yourself so that the mentor teacher can sit there and go, oh, I can connect with this individual. Oh, I see where they're coming from. Well, that's very interesting. And Dr. Countley, would you disagree when they're talking about themselves? I mean, it's not inappropriate to share specific interests or what they like to do or those types of things. Would you disagree with that?
Well, I think sharing some of it is good, but I think also you should think about sharing your experiences in practicum. What grade level did you have in practicum? Where did you do your practicum experience? And some of you might even be working, so you might say that I've been a para at such and such school for a certain amount of time. So give some of your experiences that you've done working with children. You might teach Sunday school, whatever kinds of activities that you think are appropriate to share without getting long-winded. So you want to think about, when you share, you might be sharing maybe 2-3 minutes worth of conversation. You don't have to do 15 minutes. So you want to put it all in kind of a nutshell and do it that way. So one good way to know that you won't ramble is just kind of in your mind jot down before you get there some ideas that you want to talk about yourself, so you won't get that dull kind of comment that you might think about when somebody says, well, tell us about yourself. All of a sudden you're thinking, I don't know what to say. So you want to put it down in writing and prepare yourself ahead of time.
That's very good points. Thank you, Dr. Countley. Very good point. Heather, does that assist? That helps. Okay. Very good. And again, sorry, Heather, not really sure why the audio is not working. I know we have, not really sure why, so I do apologize. Please, anyone else have any questions? Amanda, Anastasia, Cassandra, Karen, anyone? Sharon?
I have
Heather.
A question. Are you excited yet?
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
Are any of you
Heather.
excited yet?
Heather, I'm so sorry to hear that. You physically don't have a voice. Now I get it. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. All right. Dr. Countley, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, please.
That's okay. I'm just saying, is anybody excited yet? I hear silence. Is anybody excited? Are you as excited about it as we are?
Definitely.
I hope so. Thank you, Newt. Yeah, we are very excited.
Yeah, especially after you're getting into the practicums now and you're starting to really work with the kids. You're getting a feel for what the environment of actual real school day is from the other side. Instead of being a student, you're actually the one teaching.
Right. Oh, and I see some responses too. I see Allison's woohoo. All right.
That makes me feel better. That makes me feel a little bit better because I was getting a little nervous here, guys. I got to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Dr. Countley and I were both thinking, whoa. Okay. I think we feel a little bit better. All right. Well, again, so to sum it up, just, feel good, be prepared, but know that all these mentor teachers know that you're brand new. You're coming into this new, and they're not going to sit there and judge you totally by your response. They're gonna look at you and they want to know who you are. They are going to listen intently. But look at these questions, think about what they are, expand on them, focus in on how you're going to dress and so forth. And then look out for that email, hopefully in the next couple of days, as to a specific time frame for the administrators and the mentor teachers. And please remember, as some of you probably experienced going back and forth with the administrators, these are busy folks. They're so busy, and we are asking to jump in during a time frame. Testing is coming up, and there's so many things going on. So be patient with us. Be patient with them. It will come. We'll get the date solidified, and we're all very proud of you. Please know we all are very proud of you so far. I have heard. I will say this. I met with Merv Daugherty recently. He's the superintendent in Red Clay. I happened to see Dr. Susan Bunting, who is the superintendent of Indian River, just today, and Matt Burrows, who's the superintendent at Appoquinimink. These superintendents are so excited about this program and about these new candidates coming up. They all were saying just how excited they are to hear that we've got positive, interested, energetic students who just can't wait to get started. So I thank you all for your commitment and dedication and your communication. It's almost been an hour. I don't want to spend any more time. Does anybody have any questions that we can end up with before we end the evening?
No, but I do want to thank you for staying in contact with us and every few weeks having a meeting like this and keeping us up to date. I do appreciate it.
Oh, Lauren, that's the least we can do. The least we can do. And what will happen, please know, everyone, that even after the interview, we will stay connected as a group. And then, of course, Betty Wyatt-Dix and Nancy Hopp will get into many of you, of course, have already met your supervisors when you came in to do the walkthroughs and so forth. But yes, we'll all stay connected. We stay very close. And I'll give you an example, and I'll end it. So this is a great story to end our evening. So one of Dr. Countley's past candidates, her name is Emily Peterson. Emily Peterson was at Ritchie Elementary, and she did her year-long residency. Now, she has a job at Riley Brown Elementary here in the Cesar Rodney School District. Let me tell you how close of a tight-knit team we become. Dr. Kentley, who I forgot now, I just slipped my mind. Who was Emily's mentor teacher? Was it Sherry Brooks?
No, Maggie Brady.
Maggie Brady. Maggie Brady was the mentor teacher for Emily. Maggie actually came down from Newcastle County to Cesar Rodney to help Emily set up her classroom at the beginning of the school year. That's the kind of relationships that we can build here. And I'm hoping that all of us have that type of positive relationship. And such as North Dover, I just visited North Dover not more than 2 weeks ago. And one of our other candidates, her name is Lauren Martin. She's with Nicole Johnson in North Dover. Here we have a candidate who just cannot, she's just overwhelmed with excitement as to how much of a relationship she's built with this mentor teacher. So it's there, it's possible, and we just are so excited for all of you. So please know that we thank you. We can't wait to see you as a group, which we will do very soon. We will have a live meeting as a group relatively soon, and we'll all be able to share and commiserate. So again, if you have any questions between now and the middle of this month, reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to respond. Dr. Countley, is there anything that you'd like to end with?
No, I don't think so. I just say welcome aboard to all of you, and you're going to have a wonderful experience.
Agreed. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Again, sorry about the audio. Not really sure why that was acting kind of funny, but more than happy to respond at any time. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Countley.
You're welcome.